to help me. This is attempt number 3 at an intro. Hello everyone, welcome to Dice on Ice. My name is Megan, and as you can see, the background behind me is a little bit different. The camera I'm using is different, so I might be a little bit blurrier, but that might not be a bad thing for you. Today we are going to be creating and looking at the character sheet for the Genesys RPG. Now, if you're like me, I can't just go from reading the core rulebook to creating a character sheet. I usually need someone to help me, to talk me through it. That's just the way that I learn. And so I was hoping that I could do that for some of you guys who might have a similar way of learning. Just a quick disclaimer, if you know anything about Genesys, you know it's a pretty patchwork system in that a DM can pick and choose some of the attributes, the archetypes that they want and put it into their own personalized setting. So a lot of the options that I have, a lot of the numbers and the specifics will be different in what your DM decides to use than what I did. I will be using a setting set up by my DM in a campaign that I have been playing in over the last few months. But that being said, the steps by which you make the character and how you go about it is going to be the same, so hopefully you can find some help from this. So let's get started. So welcome back everyone. As you can see, things are a little bit different here. We're getting a little bit more high tech on the Dice on Ice channel. You can see me in the corner here. Hello. I just wanted to make sure you could see my beautiful face as I tell you a little bit about the Genesys character sheet. Now, before we get into it, I'm going to explain a few of the different setups here and how they work in terms of mechanics and dice rolling. So the most important thing you want to look at first are your characteristics. This is the core of your character, and there are 6 of them, with the numbers spanning from 1 to 5. So the higher number each of these numbers are, the more ability dice you have to roll against the challenge dice of the DM in a situation. Here they are: brawn, agility, intellect. Cunning is how well you do in social situations, and willpower is your mental fortitude, and presence is how people look at you when you, say, walk into a room. Do they fall silent? Do they listen to things? Do you just have that aura about you that make people want to look at you, want to listen? The next thing we're going to look at are the skills. Now, if you play D&D 5e, these are pretty similar in that they specify even further of what your possible talents are. And so you'll see here that they have ranks, which you can have 1 to 5 ranks in. So these numbers here, the number of ranks you have, dictates how many of your ability dice, which are from your characteristics, are going to change into proficiency dice, which give you a higher likelihood of being successful against the DM's challenge dice. And so here you will also see this career. Now, this is determined by the career that you choose, which we will talk about later, and they give you a bit of an advantage when you are spending experience points. And then we're going to talk about combat, which is going to involve these 4 things up here, which are your soak value, your wounds, your strain, and your defense. Your soak value is the number of points you take away from the attack of another person. So say an opponent hits you for 8 points of damage, and you have a soak value of 4. So that means the actual number of wound damage you take is going to be 4. Wounds, of course, is the physical damage you take during a fight. Strain is going to be the mental damage you take. And defense is how hard you are to hit. The first thing, obviously, you want to do is name your character. I am playing in a pirate setting, so no better name than Patches McBeardson. And once you have that, you can go ahead and choose your archetype, which is kind of like the race or species in the game. And so choosing your archetype is going to give you these starting characteristics, wound and strain thresholds, and the amount of experience points that you start with that you're going to be allowed to spend to make your character. It's also going to give you a couple of starting abilities, one of which is usually a couple of skills and a talent or ability. So as you can see here, for a human, the DM gave us 2s across the board here, which is pretty average. Then we got to choose 2 non-career skills. So that brings us into step 2, which is to choose a career, which is more like a background than a class. If we're looking at a 5e analog, it is what your character does, what their job is. And so your DM is going to give you a ton of different options that you can choose from. For me, I chose an officer. With that, it is going to give you these skills that are considered career skills, or skills that are vital or that you are able to acquire easily. And usually, when you choose a career, it will not only give you career skills, but it'll also allow you to choose 1 rank in probably about 4 of them. Step 3 is going to be spending your starting XP. Now, with the archetype of human, I was given 110 experience points to start with. Now, there are 3 things that you can spend your experience points on. That is characteristics, skills, and talents or abilities. The special thing with characteristics is that you can only spend experience points on them when you are in your character creation. These are the most expensive in that they cost 10 times the rank you are buying. So with these characteristics, you have to raise them in order. So say you wanted to go from agility 2 to 4, you first must spend the amount of experience points to get to a 3, then to get to a 4. That in total would cost you about 70 XP. And then you have skills, which in rank works the same way in that in order to get to rank 3, for example, you must buy rank 1, rank 2, etc. to get up there. Now, this is where your career skills come in that your career skill is going to be much cheaper to buy than your non-career skill. Your career skill is going to be 5 times the rank you're buying. Your non-career skill is going to be 5 times the rank you want, plus another 5 on top of that. And last but not least, you get your talents or your abilities, which your DM will give you a list of talents and abilities that you can choose from, and they give you some mechanical as well as narrative ideas. So talents are divided into tiers. The higher the tier, the better the talent, the more advantageous the ability is going to be. But as you can see here, there's a bit of a period pattern, which means that you must have more talents in the lower tier than you do in the upper tier. So that means you must have 2 tier 1 talents before you can have a tier 2 talent. So I put this in the wrong spot. It needs to go down here, as you can see, and the sheets are very helpful in that you can see here the cost of the experience points of each tier. Once you have spent all of your XP, or as much as you want, keep in mind that you are allowed to bank your XP if you don't want to use it all. Step 4 is to purchase your gear. Now this is very simple. You are going to be given a certain amount of credits from your DM with a list of things that you are able to purchase. In the core book, the amount of credits that is given to you is 500, but it can vary among the DM. Here, with weapons, you are going to have the skill, which is usually ranged or melee, the amount of damage it does, the crit, as well as any special things that this does. For example, this sword cane does a defensive of 1, so if you use the sword cane, it's going to be harder to hit you. You can also purchase armor, which is going to increase your soak, which means that your armor is going to absorb some of the damage dealt to you. Once you have purchased all of your gear, we can go to step 5, which is to determine your derived attributes, which is up here: your soak, your wound, your strain, and your defense. Your soak value is always equal to the brawn rating plus whatever armor you decide to wear, and the armor that you buy will tell you how much of a soak it is going to increase it by. Your wound threshold is 10 plus your brawn, your strain is 10 plus your willpower, and your defense you might not always get. It is usually a special ability, either by an armor or a weapon. And that's pretty much it for a lot of the mechanical attributes. All that's left to do is to create your strength, flaw, desire, fear, which has a bit of a mechanical difference than just the regular 5e, which it's all for fluff. Your motivations, depending on the DM, may have some sort of mechanical advantage, whether that's you get an extra proficiency die if you know their fear, flaw, desire, or strength, and try to exploit that. So make sure you ask your DM if that is something that they are going to do. And then finally is just to flush out the rest of your character, describe what they look like, and give them a background and any personality traits or quirks that you'd like. And so that's it. That's all you have to do in order to make and create a Genesys character. I hope this made things a little bit easier for you to understand and to be able to create a character with. Thank you for watching. This has been Megan on Dice on Ice. Please feel free to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. Which RPG would you like to see me do a character for next? Thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.